should have stayed. Why did he second guess?
Oh my god. I like that song too. No. Riding down the 805. Ain't enough. I'm just looking for some 305s. Hey, yo, what's good, you guys? It's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star. Today, we's getting into Kendrick Lamar 1, but at what cost? What was costly about it? Let's find out. Let's get straight on into it. Let's go.
As the dust begins to settle on the hip-hop civil war, it seems like the real damage is coming into focus. While no blood was spilled, it's safe to say that things haven't been this ugly in rap beef since the days of Biggie and Pac, with Kendrick Lamar basically dissecting every aspect of Drake's identity and not only holding up a mirror to Drake to look at himself, but show the world what he believes to be the real man behind all the fame and fortune. From Euphoria, Meet the Grams, and Not Like Us, hip-hop was given 3 of the most blockbuster violations of an artist that the culture has ever seen. And while Drake did put up an admirable fight, he just didn't have the ammo to counteract what Kendrick was putting out there. As a result, only diehard stans of Drake would realistically argue that he'd escaped unscathed from this.
I didn't think Mal was one.
Competed on the same level.
That was new for me.
Better? I think that Kendrick is rapping better.
You think Kendrick is rapping better? You think he's putting out better songs? That record is not that good. I don't know what the... That record would have been amazing if Drake really does have one thing going. He did rap about it. Now y'all saying you mad he rapped about it. What y'all talking about?
Hit with over 1 million dislikes on his diss track / concession speech on The Heart Part 6, the aftermath of Kendrick's assault on his image has basically left Drake stranded on an island where he faces a shift in public opinion on one side and the wrath of his peers on the other. And while this potentially has major ramifications for Drake going forward, it also might be the beginning of a major cultural shift. Let's break it down. For starters, Kendrick's dismantling of Drake's public image has people assessing whether or not he was really ever truly a part of the culture or simply someone who just exploited it for financial gain. An artist whose music always focuses more on the personal rather than political, and often retelling meaningless stories rather than something of substance, Dot's continued use of the existing narrative that Drake is a culture vulture has people talking about Drake in a whole new light. A man whose main gripe with Drake has always been his refusal to show up for black issues, Ebro explained that Kendrick's exploration of Drake's mixed background wasn't just race baiting, as some people have tried to paint it. Instead, it was used to explore the ways he stands for nothing in a culture that was born of the need to communicate important ideals to the masses.
The reason Kendrick doesn't like Drake is beyond just, I don't like you as a person, which he said that too. He doesn't like what Drake represents in hip-hop. He doesn't like that this individual is not authentic, doesn't represent anything of value to black heritage and black culture, isn't in touch with his blackness enough. I think that is also an important detail because hip-hop, as we know it today, is an extension of the black nationalist movement. It is a tool to share information and educate ourselves when the establishment doesn't do so, and also to make sure that we are represented towards each other and for each other. That's a part of what the hip-hop thing is and the basis of it.
But it goes deeper than that. As in the wake of Kendrick's comments, critics are beginning to wonder if Drake only uses his black identity when it stacks the odds in his favor.
You being a mixed person, explain to people from your perspective the difference between how Drake does it in this hip-hop space as opposed to somebody like J. Cole.
You know, J. Cole spends his time doing commentary about society and about his community and the places he comes from,
issues within our
the
culture.
black heritage part of hip-hop. J. Cole is in touch with that and understands the importance of that. One of the issues that I think even the OVO team has had was the Childish Gambino thing when I was up here talking about, yo, bro, don't on This Is America because you don't ever have anything to say, which is once again the indictment of Kendrick. Kendrick is not saying Drake is not black. Kendrick is saying you only act black when it's time for you to use blackness to make money. When it comes to any other black issues or black anything, we don't see you.
By using another biracial rapper like J. Cole as an example, in my opinion, Ebro perfectly depicts how Cole takes on the cultural responsibility that Drake has avoided for most of his career. All the while, Drizzy has reaped the rewards of it at every opportunity. Now, it's unfair to say that Drake has never shown up for the black community. After all, at the height of the BLM movement, he donated $100,000 to National Bailout. But there's also a case to be made that this is the bare minimum he could have done when you consider the profit he's made from the culture. Ultimately, the issue with Drake comes down to code switching. Unfortunately, there are plenty of clips from his past as a child actor where he seems to purposefully distance himself from the black culture to integrate into white environments.
Is he about to play that one clip? Oh, he's about to play that
takes
clip.
influence from Jamaican, East African, and Middle Eastern diaspora.
The guys in our school, instead of addressing people like the group, for saying, like, what are you guys doing? Say, man's like you. It's really ignorant.
Then, years on, he repped that same accent, all the while appearing ignorant of its origins.
Our accents. I don't know who started talking like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to meet that guy. I literally want to meet the first Toronto man of all time. I don't know who he is.
Fast forward to when Drake decided he wanted to be a rapper, and suddenly his disdain for the Toronto accent was gone. Instead, he was claiming it as a part of his culture. But to make matters worse, Drake is simultaneously facing darker accusations. Years before Kendrick started throwing out allegations about Drake in the OVO camp, certain figures had always side-eyed Drake's alleged admiration for younger women. In fact, famous comedian Shane Gillis even predicted his downfall. On an episode of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast in the summer of 2019, he basically foretold what's now happening to Drake, right down to the timeline.
I want to be on the record. Drake's going to be, he's on that R. Kelly tip. Drizzy Drake likes him young. Somewhat known already. This is one of those things where you got to say something. Like, remember Louis, that whole thing? We knew about that. And we were just like, I don't know. Drizzy Drake's into the young ones. He's going to get got in the next 5 years.
Notice he mentions Louis C.K. here. If you're not up on
And
that
when did he mention that? When did he say that? Like what year did he say this? Because I want to count 5 years from that. See that if he, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was actually in 5 years since he said that.
He's going to get got in the next 5 years.
Notice he mentions Louis C.K. here. If you're not up on that story, the famous stand-up was in front of women in the comedy scene, and everybody knew. Known to affiliate with the younger generation, Drake has some strange ties to teenagers in the past.
We just texted each other the other day, and he was like, I miss you so much. I was like, I miss you more.
I mean, I've only
how many
like
of these
texted
clips
him.
am I going to see?
He's so nice. Like,
Then you have the whole scenario with Bella Harris.
She was born in 2000. I did this flicked up with her in 2016.
I mean, granted, that is the most known
and then
clip.
As soon as she turned 18, they put her out on the date.
Now, back then, people like Millie Bobby Brown came to his defense, but they're notably staying very silent these days now that they're not only older, but things that are less defensible as simply friendliness have come to light. As for his interest in Bella Harris...
Trust me, just give her a couple years. If not at, how old is she, 18? Not 18, man. Maybe a couple years after that. Maybe when she enters her mid-20s, she's going to realize, like, oh, shit.
Claim was that he was a fan of women's high school basketball. Like, that's a perfectly normal sentence to say as a 30-year-old man. Now, we are in no way making claims here or trying to imply anything.
These are allegations.
But SZA having to clarify that she wasn't underage, and Georgia Smith being just 19 when she hooked up with the
Wait,
31-year-old,
what?
say as a 30-year-old man. Now, we are in no way making claims here or trying to imply anything, but between SZA having to clarify that she wasn't underage, and Georgia Smith being just 19 when she hooked up with the 31-year-old Drake, the whole thing wasn't a great look to begin with. But now, post Kendrick's exposed attempts, Drake's Teenage Fever comment section on YouTube is now flooded with the worst claims a musician could imagine.
You say the word, why second guess? I should have stayed. Why did he second guess?
Oh my god. I like that song too. No. 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 I actually have a memory with that song when I was playing it, bro. It was a good memory, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just chilling that night, you know what I'm saying, by myself, you know what I'm saying, driving around, you know what I'm saying? Like, you remember, like late at night, you be driving around bumping that Drake, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you just have feels, or, you just have moments where it's like the song will just hit just right at a time that you're driving at night, or, you know what I'm saying? And, it's like, you just have those certain memories. Like, I had a moment of memory with this song playing, and it's like, bro, I remember, and like every time I hear that song, like, I just remember that moment I was playing it. It was nothing serious. It's like I was just at a car wash, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like the lights in the car wash was hitting right when the song was playing. Like, I gotta stop saying late at night. It was at night. It was like around 9-10 p.m. And like it just felt like a moment, bro. It just felt like a memory. It's like, bro, the vibes right now are just hitting. I hate you, Drake. Drake, why? Why? That shattered everything. That shattered a memory. That shattered a whole moment for me now. Oh my God, I forgot he made a song like that.
On Teenage Fever. Answer me. You say the word, I'm on the what word? It's a go.
Y'all gonna look back one day and say, oh, it was right there. An artist who is always focused on the pop charts and therefore the youth, Drake has always fought to retain that fan base in his career by moving with that sound. Now, if you want to be a commercial superstar, that's just good business sense. But from a darker perspective, now revealed by Kendrick's diss tracks, it implies that Drake isn't just cornering that market to stay hot, but to retain access to the younger audience. For one thing, it explained why he now has a 26-year-old in Lil Yachty writing the bulk of Her Loss, why he flew out a fresh-faced Ice Spice when Munch popped off, or why it was rumored that he just recently signed 4 Bats to a one-album deal. For a clearer example, before the days of Not Like Us, it was easy for academics to throw Drake some bail for focusing on a younger demographic.
I never even thought about Drake singing about a 27-year-old. I was just like, that's what music is. Like, if anybody's talking about a 4-year-old, with all due respect, I'll be like, I think hip-hop is always kind of meant to kind of appeal to that age range. Unless you're going to do like some Jay-Z, you're married and you're doing 444. If you're going to be rapping about partying, going out, casually dating, you're going to be rapping about that age range, whether you name drop it or not.
But what's telling is that even with Act being such a verifiable Drake stan, he has since acknowledged that Drake now has to move completely different.
He's probably going to have to keep his affairs with women either much more secretive or not be pictured with the chick who just graduated college.
That shit's going to look
because
even worse.
They're now planting and putting this jacket on him. They usually do. If you're not you're a groomer.
In his opinion, songs like Teenage Fever will have to be a thing of the past, as too many people could interpret certain bars as lusting after young ladies. In fact, there's every chance that it might change his whole writing process.
So now with Drake, when he was writing a rhyme and he's not thinking, yo, nobody's going to think I'm writing about kids because this line is meant to be something else. He's talking about it like it was a dream of his since he was a kid. Now got people looking at lyrics trying to get different meanings now. So now when Drake's writing the next slap, he probably got a line that's fire on paper, but it's like, yo, these motherfuckers going to take it this way now.
Offering no defense rather than, I'm too famous to be an abuser, this presents a dangerous crossroads for Drake's career. Drake fans have endured a lot over the years, but for some, these
play that Always Sunny in Philadelphia clip for this right here.
Dangerous crossroads for Drake's career. Drake fans have
play
endured
that
a
clip
lot
of
over
the show.
years, but for some, these allegations are just a step too far.
You don't think you need to be focusing on or denouncing all these allegations? Prove that you didn't do this. If you can't, pack it up. I'll be deleting everything from OVO. I'm done. You engage in that couple, bro, I cannot support you in any couple way, shape, or form.
Now relieved of his ability to make club smashes about casual sex without a few jokes being made at his expense, Kendrick's verbal demolition of Drake means that this isn't the only part of his creative process that'll have to change. As now, he's basically incapable of heading to Atlanta without the colonizer narrative.
Can Drake put out a record with an artist from Atlanta and people ain't gonna look at it funny?
I think whatever move he makes, people will look at it funny.
He wouldn't as often make street records just for the streets. Right? He does that because the streets in this hip-hop means something. They mean something to your credibility. I believe that Drake has to think more carefully about making those moves now because it's been exposed.
When talking about large-scale issues that this new power balance in hip-hop represents, this banishment from Atlanta is one that will definitely hurt Drake. But the idea that anyone would want to get on a track with him at the minute is hypothetical. Because for now, it feels like a lot of people are distancing themselves from Drake. When Drake dropped Family Matters, the comments were flooded with streamers standing shoulder to shoulder with him as opposed to rappers. Meanwhile, someone like Lil Yachty, who was mentioned directly on Euphoria, stayed out of it. Even when he liked a tweet which brought up K-Dot's apparent shady history, he cowardly said it was an accident when news outlets picked it up. Similarly, 21 Savage only gave his views on the Metro and Drake aspect of the beef, instead of showing support for him with anything going on with K-Dot. Going back to his crew of yesteryear, Weezy and Nicki Minaj have strangely also remained silent. In Nicki's case, this is a stark difference from how she responded to the story of Adidon, where she actively supported him on Twitter. So why are they bailing on him? Well, the answer is that while there's many things rappers will defend you for, what he's being accused of now isn't one of them. As a result, they don't want their image tarnished by associating with him right now. Because from hip-hop heads to high schools, the perception of Drake has shifted.
It's crazy how this has been put on Drake and simultaneously with Nicki Minaj. Within the same year, Meg made that infamous diss on Nicki. The infamous one-liner. You see how the parallels I've started to form now? It's like, Wayne, bro, like, dang, man. these two artists that blew up off your label, bro. It's like,
up until today, taught at a very Drake-centric high school. Rich Baby Daddy is the most frequently requested song to put on my class playlist. But today, I walk in and I can feel that there has been a tectonic shift. I had like one Drake defender in each class, if that. And honestly, I feel bad for those kids because they were getting screamed at.
Although only time will tell if these effects upon Drake's image are long-lasting or temporary.
You didn't play the whole clip of her saying that, like, you know, when she would walk in, like, you know, everybody would be bumping Drake. But now, ever since this, she'll walk in, everybody bumping K-Dot. Everybody's bumping Kendrick. You didn't play that clip.
What's evident is that he is likely done with beefing when it's always left him battle-scarred and with a hole in his public image.
I think this proved to me that Drake is completely done with he's completely done with rap battles. He can't do that. It's not because of ability, but because of where he is. Kendrick Lamar's numbers, like, he's about to go #1 next week with the new song he just dropped to Drake. If you're going to give this guy his #1 solo record of his whole career because you would engage with him.
For one thing, we need to fact-check accurate, because Humble is actually Kendrick's first solo #1. It just didn't debut there. But that doesn't change the fact that Not Like Us has now broken Drake's own record for biggest debut with God's Plan. Now, that's got a sting for Drake, who has always been about the numbers. But so too will the fact that K-Dot is now in a more fortuitous position on the other end. Because while Kendrick's numbers are up with his catalog soaring over 49%, Drake is actually down 3%. For all that, Drake undeniably took the L here. But it doesn't mean that Kendrick escaped scot-free either. For one thing, his fan base are now aware that he has the ability to drop more frequently and just chooses not to. While this is likely a Pandora's box he didn't want to open, you also have the small matter of the power vacuum that's in place if Drizzy is really forced to bow out after all this. Naturally, people like
So Drake left that scratch on Kendrick's headband. I use this analogy a lot because it's from a show, an anime show called Naruto. If you don't know what it is, then, you know, go ahead, just skip like a couple seconds. But I use this analogy a lot of like when the characters in that show, Naruto and Sasuke, that when the two main characters in the show start going at it, and Sasuke, he beats Naruto, but because Sasuke said, like, you'll never be able to put a scratch on my headband because they're ninjas. He said, dude, like, you'll never be able to even put a scratch on my headband. And Sasuke beats him, but Naruto was able to put a scratch on his headband, meaning that, yeah, you can't be touched. You know, he beat me. Like, you know, I beat what you said and made the unknown fact that you can't be touched. So don't think you can't be touched, nigga. You feel me? So, yeah. And I said this about the Drake and Meek Mill beef as well. The fact that Drake beat Meek Mill, but Meek Mill left a scratch on his headband, meaning the scratch was that, like, Drake had ghostwriters. You know, that'll forever be a thing now. Like, he left a scar on Drake's career right there. You feel me? And his credibility. Now with this, with Drake and Kendrick took out Drake, but Drake left a scar, left a scratch on his headband, saying that, like, hey, you can't put out music more. And at the rate he put them out, at the rate he put out these records, I'm like, bro, you went on a 5-year hiatus. So, like, he put a scar on Kendrick saying that, like, yo, you can drop as frequently. Now we're seeing that you choose not to. I mean, which has been known, but it's like, it's different from when it's being said now, from when it's like, you know, you see it. Like, it's different when you know it to when you see it. It's like, oh yeah, I've been low-key know that, but like when you actually see it, like, oh shit, oh, so this, oh snap, it's crazy when you see it now. So it's like that.
He'll have to move more like Drake in order to take the top spot, which requires a level of being present in the culture. But when you really think about it, that wasn't the point of the whole beat. Despite claiming the top spot on Like That, which started this all off, Kendrick doesn't want to inhabit the same space as Drizzy. He just wanted to create a void where that could be filled by someone, anyone else. When he said it was just Big Me, he wasn't talking about dominating the charts. He was talking about sheer lyrical ability and creating the best music. A man who claims to live a boring life because he loves peace? Kendrick isn't interested in extracting anything else that Drake had, apart from his credibility. But as the debris clears and we begin to look at a future where Drake is minimized and Kendrick's reach has probably only expanded, there are questions to be asked if this was all worth it. Now, if Drake truly is everything Kendrick says he is...
Now it's like Kendrick's created like a fan base whereas like they're possibly going to want more frequent music for him, man. It's, you know what I'm saying, from the OG Kendrick fans, we know how frequently he puts out music, you know? But possibly from the new fans coming in, seeing how fast he dropped, he probably gained some fast fooders, bro. That's why I call mostly Drake fans and, you know, all these new artists type of fan bases, you know, I call them fast fooders because it's like, you know, they used to get music like every other day or every week or so, you know what I'm saying? NBA YoungBoy fans, oh man, those are the McDonald's eaters, bro. Like, those are the McDonald's fast fooders, bro. Like, they need McDonald's every other day. Like, they need NBA YoungBoy every other day or every week. And I don't blame them the way NBA YoungBoy be dropping music, bro. It's like, yeah. But I feel that, like, Kendrick has possibly gained some of those fans, you know? And those fans are gonna be kind of... I don't know, but once they see that, like, you know, if you know, he drops music frequently now or not, it comes to not, they're gonna be like, dude, what the heck, bro? You was like dropping, like, you know, every other day when he was going at Drake, you know what I'm saying? Every day or every other day, dropping 2 songs a day, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, what's going on now? Like, you know, especially, you know, with a bopper like Not Like Us, we want more boppers like Not Like... It's like, bro, it's gonna be a rude awakening for those new type of fans, you feel me? So, yeah, I guess that's another scratch Drake left on Kendrick's headband.
And there's no denying that getting rid of him was basically a public service. But there's also collateral damage to what's been said. As Teo Barrow said in her Guardian piece, there is a case to be made that while these two titans of the industry were squaring off, the women who were caught in the middle, whether it was Kendrick's wife or Drake's alleged victims, really lost out from the battle. These men are casually rapping about child and harboring secret children that they've presumably known about for years, but only chose to reveal when they were fighting. And using each other's possible victims as ammunition in a battle that has nothing to do with these women isn't just perverse and morally reprehensible. It reveals the degree to which hip-hop and the music industry as a whole continue to protect terrible men, even while their behavior, or alleged behavior, is an open secret. And although people might feel like it's rich coming from someone with his history, this is also a point made by Charlemagne, who felt that the exposés weren't done for genuine reasons.
I don't like seeing these brothers Me Tooing each other over a rap feud. To me, that's corny. Like, if you're gonna call someone a woman, you gotta have some real proof.
It's for this reason that the Roots Questlove actually thinks that there were no real victors here. When asked his views, Vince Staples believed it detracted from the real issues facing hip-hop and black creatives. In fact, he went as far to suggest that it basically set the culture back years.
That record label just folded all of its independent labels and subsidiaries into each other. None of them exist no more. They fired all the heads of the labels, and if they didn't, they turned them into glorified A&Rs. They cut off 50% of the people who work in all these departments. Most of those people is us, people of color that come from hip-hop and R&B and these other things, right? Personally, I think we better than that. I think we deserve better than that because we've been saying for decades that we want people to respect black music and black art and black people. And I think for that to happen, we got to respect ourselves. And they don't make it easy for us, but we got to try to work a little bit harder at that.
That's
From the innocent bystanders and potentially traumatized people who had to live through this again, there are strong cases to be made that maybe Kendrick and Drake's beef did hip-hop more harm than good. Similarly, others claim that this beef saved hip-hop. But what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I just said everything I had to say throughout the whole video, bro. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. You already know it's Boomer. You're watching Bali Star. Make sure to leave a like, support the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, so that way you join up with the Bomb Squad. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. 100. Ooh!
Yeah.